What was the one thing you wish you had known about content creation before you started streaming?
I think I wish I knew how to use Twitter better before I started.
Do you have
I
any
think
tips for
Twitter
Twitter?
was hard for me to figure out when I first started. Yeah, I have some tips. So if you're a content creator, you should be tweeting at least twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
at optimal times. So not like in the middle of the night, like I did last night. You should be trying to tweet about things that are relevant to what you talk about in your content, but not explicitly about your content. And you
Mm-hmm.
should try to be funny. I mean, I don't try to be funny. I release my ADHD into the wild and hope that it hits.
Yeah, you got great tweets.
Yeah,
You also
thank you.
sometimes make like assets for replies. Like, oh my god, you take this
Yeah,
super
yeah.
serious.
It won't be anything that takes like more than like 5 minutes to put together, but
Yeah,
I
for
do like
sure.
throwing together like a meme or something for tweets. Um,
Yeah, I do the
that
same
was
right now.
I was doing well until you said funny for Lily. Yeah, at least twice a day. You should be interacting, so you should be looking up the hashtags of the things that you're involved in, and then finding other people and genuinely interacting on their posts. It's social media for a reason. Like people aren't going to just follow you to follow you. You yourself are not interesting alone. You are
Mm-hmm.
interesting because of your interactions with other people on social media. Other people like being involved in your content, and other people like exist. It's not like an
Oh,
ego trip. You can't just throw shit out into the world and expect it to pop off. You need
yeah.
to like make connections. You need to be genuinely interested in other people, because it's not going to go well if you're only interested in having yourself pop off just for you.
Yeah, it's like the advice from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
People usually give it kind of a bad rap. They're like, this is the book on how to manipulate. But there's lots of the tips in there are like, you have to like actually care about the person.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Like
think that
that's how you win friends and influence people, is by actually taking an active interest
by
in
making
them.
friends.
Yeah, not just like,
Or colleagues.
taking bullet points of what they like so that you can meta game how to get favor with them the quickest, like in a dating sim game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's about genuine connection.
Yeah.
Which I think I really didn't understand for a long time.
So how do you have a genuine connection? What are some tips for
I
that?
think how do you have a genuine connection? I think you just need to so also you don't want to interact with people who you genuinely don't like. Like don't force yourself to interact with people whose content you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Don't force yourself to interact with people who you don't like in the first place. That's
Yep,
the
that's
number
what I
one
do.
thing. That's how you have a genuine connection, is you find people that you actually kind of like, and then you form a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't just go after whoever has like the highest numbers because you think that they'll help you get high numbers. You want to form relationships with people who you like interacting with, and because that'll also make your content more enjoyable too.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're happy, that shows in your content. If it seems like you're forcing it, people can tell.
Yeah, I would say to put that in a different way, the way to appear genuine is to not think about what you think other people want to hear, and instead like the first thing that comes to your brain.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of workshop from there, because you don't want to write down the first thing that comes to your brain, because it's probably garbage. But it's a good baseline to work on. And instead of thinking like, what do people want me to hear? How do I just appear as nice as possible? Because you can come off as very boring if all you're doing is saying what you think other people want to hear. So if you just do the first thing that comes to mind, it can give you a little bit more authenticity. But
Yeah.
you might also say something that, not everybody wants to hear.
But also, you're never going to make everybody happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you do try to make
So there's
everybody
a
happy, you come off as very boring.
Yeah, and also not genuine.
And not genuine. Yeah, thanks to... I mean, the thing is, you can go the opposite way, funny enough. If you're just negative all the time, even if you're not actually negative, it comes off as more
Yeah.
genuine because of negativity bias.
Yeah, but negative. I personally don't like doing that. I don't like interacting with too many negative things in general on any of my social medias. I don't like bringing
Yeah.
that energy into my community, into my like content. Because for me, I think my content is an escape from all of that.
Yep. That's
But
how
I
feel, too.
understand that people do use content in that way to gain views. I understand that negativity can pop off as well.
It can, but it's like,
But
what's
if it's
the word
all
for
you,
it?
yeah.
It's
If it's all your
volatile. It has
content
a
is,
shelf
it's bad.
life. If
Yeah.
that's all your content is, you can definitely do well with it, but just you have a different kind of audience, and that kind of audience.
Yeah, and that audience can be toxic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you want a toxic audience? 'Cause that's how you get
Yeah.
it. But maybe you
I
do.
don't want a toxic audience.
Like I know some toxic ass people who definitely have a toxic audience, and I'm pretty sure that they're having a great time with it.
Yeah, I think you need to have the right like mindset for it. I think if my audience was toxic, I would probably cry.
That's what the mods are for.
Yeah.
I would also like to add whatchamacallit, the time of day in which you tweet, the time of day in which you upload videos.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think that really matters like at all.
I think it does to some extent.
From just like
at least-
personal experience.
Mhm.
Because that's one of the hallmark, the hallmark video thing is like, when is the best time to upload your video? The answer is whenever. It literally doesn't matter.
Just get it out there.
Just get it out there. But it's more like, when do you upload a video after you've uploaded one? That's the more important question.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to shotgun tweets back to back. You should probably space those out. But like the time of day in which you do it doesn't really matter as much as you'd think.
Yeah, and you can schedule tweets too, so they're spaced out as well. So if you
Yeah.
have like some banger ideas, okay. The other thing is you need to stay like current too. So if you're tweeting about something that is a trend, you have to do it like then, or you
Yeah,
have to be very
immediately.
early on in a trend. Otherwise, it won't do well.
Also,
if you're
sometimes if there's a trend going on and everybody's talking about it, if you talk about something different, that'll stand out.
yeah. Sometimes you don't want to talk about trends unless you really like. If you really want to, then do it. But like otherwise, you don't want to also fill up your entire timeline with trends because then there's no original content, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's bad too. So like spacing it out. I think also being conservative with what you retweet. It should be a ratio of about you need to have at least 2 to 5 tweets per retweet.
Yeah,
So-
you don't want to be retweeting all the time.
Yeah. I personally don't retweet that much. I only
Yeah.
retweet if it's important.
Yeah, me too. I try to limit as
yeah.
much as possible.
Yeah, I only retweet if it's like a close friend is having like an event or if
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like my mama makes art or something. 'Cause I love my mama. If Muji Sensei makes art, then I go and I retweet it immediately because I love them.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sure your followers are there for that. Like my followers probably wouldn't appreciate it if I retweeted a whole bunch of VTuber fan art.
Yeah.
It's because my audience is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm not a VTuber, but you are, so it's
Oh, Evil said, where does the BFE come into play? So that's original content, right? If you are making high quality original content, if you're making BFE recordings, it depends on the type of BFE recording and what you're releasing. If you're releasing a morning tweet, release it in the morning.
Drew.
Try to space it out. You don't want to suffocate your audience with too much content. There's this thing called, I talk about this a lot in my content, artificial scarcity. You can make as much content as you want, but you don't want to flood your audience with too much content because they'll never be able to consume enough.
It
You have
all
to pick the
depends.
high quality stuff.
If it's high quality content, you can flood your audience as much as you want because you could never get tired of high quality content. The only problems you have when flooding your followers with too much content is usually when it's low quality. That's usually when
Yeah.
people don't talk about when they say don't flood your followers with content. It's like, well, actually, if it was all high quality content that took a lot of time to produce, they'd love it.
Yeah,
usually it's
but
not.
like, how
Because
do you...
most content creators don't like to work.
Yeah,
They like to
yeah.
just put the least amount of effort into everything. They'll work hard for a year and then they'll coast. And then
Yeah.
everything is low effort. And then all they think about is like, how can I get more content rather than I want to make this thing.
Yeah, and you should be doing what you're passionate about. So
Yeah.
like it'll come off better if you're passionate about it.
Exactly.